Hi guys, today I'm going to run through one of the workouts on my new app. I'm going to run through the Get Cueing workout. This is a great workout full of lots of really good drills and routines just to get you into really good space of cueing nice and smoothly, nice and straight, cueing through the ball. Some of the routines here you might look at and go, they're a little bit simple, all you're doing is potting balls, but yes, that may be true, but it really does, if you do this regularly, it's amazing how much your cueing will improve and how much confidence you're going to get from cueing nice and straight as well. So let's get stuck in with the first routine, which is a very simple potting drill. We're going to try and attempt to pot all 15 balls from the same place. First of all, first object ball right on the center of the table, cue ball on the break line for a nice straight pot, and we'll try and pot it. So our first one in, and we just set up exactly the same pot again, and we're going to try this 15 times. Now, if you do miss one, don't worry, it's all about how many you can score, and if you miss one, just roll it out the way. You're still going to just attempt 15 shots and keep a record of how many of the 15 you pot. With this routine, it's important to remember that you don't take it lightly. As you know, even if you think this is a simple pot, still go through it. Give every pot the respect it deserves. Do your normal technique and your normal pre-shot routine for every shot. Get to chalk my cue as well. I don't want to miscue mid-routine or anything like that. Cued across that one just a fraction, but it's okay, it's still wobbled in. Okay, so I always, on a lot of my routines, not all of them, but on a lot of my routines, I do like to leave the 8 ball till last, just because especially in this situation where I've made the first 14, I want to complete this routine. I want to get that full 15 out of 15. So the pressure on the 8 ball to complete the routine just replicates, only in a small way, the pressure of putting an 8 ball in a frame of pool. So there you go, off to a very good start in this workout. There you go, first routine done, scored 15 out of 15, so I now put 15 on the scoreboard and move on to the second routine. Okay, so the second routine in this workout, Get Cueing, is the same as the first one, but what we're going to do is we're going to move the object ball halfway from the center to the center of the table to the center pocket, and then cue ball back on the line once again, and we're just going to continue 15 more straight pots. Now the reason we move this halfway between is it just makes this pot that little bit harder. There's a little bit less margin of error, so you have to just cue it a little bit better. So we're just making the routine just that fraction harder. Cued across that one, so there's another one missed, just move that one to the side, keep going. It's all about keeping the score, not worrying if you miss one, just going again. It means you can challenge yourself next time. Can I do better than I did the previous time? It's one of the things I really like about the app. That one snuck in. So it's not about being perfect with a setup, but pretty much you want it to be straight and pretty much the same every time. Ooh, felt like I cued that one well, but just threw it onto the jaw. Ooh, used it all. Once again, 8 ball for my last ball. Just one of the things I like to do. Okay, so that's routine number 2 done. Again, 13 out of 15, missed 2 balls, slightly frustrating, but we just keep that score and move on to the next routine. Okay, routine number 3, very similar to the first 2, difference this time. We're just going to move the first object ball, or the object ball all the way through, just to pretty close to the center pocket, just to make these pots much harder. This time, obviously, the margin of error is much smaller, but once again, ball on the break line and straight pots. one was going to miss. Put that one on the near jaw. Near jaw normally means missing on these tables. That time, again, got very lucky that time. This is a black ball elite table, so these are very, very tight down the rails and very tight in the centre pockets as well. So rarely you get one to drop like that, but still dropped. I'm still going to count it. Once again, rattled the near jaw, having a little bit of luck with those rolling in off the near jaw. And this is where I really like 8-ball last, because the pressure really starts to build, because you want to complete the routine. You want to get that perfect 15 out of 15. And I'm 2 balls away. Wow, I'm not entirely sure how those last 2 or 3 have dropped. Trust me, this table is very tight. So 8-ball to complete the routine for 15 out of 15 just ramps up the pressure a fraction. And I'm really pleased because I cued that 8-ball probably better than any of the other 45 shots I've had so far. Really pleased with that, although a little bit lucky with a couple of those, but 15 out of 15. Put that on the score. Let's get on with the next routine. Okay, so routine number 4, I've called it the penalty shootout, and the reason being it replicates what you may have seen in some tournaments, which is the penalty shootout. So in the penalty shootout, you'd have the 8-ball on the 8-ball spot, cue ball anywhere behind the line. You get 5 tries each, just like in a football tournament. Whoever makes the most would go through. Now, in this routine, we're going to vary it just slightly because it's going to be 7 yellows, 7 reds, then the 8-ball. But the one key thing to remember is yellows will go into the right-hand pocket, reds will go into the left-hand pocket, which is why I laid the table out like this, just to make the setup nice and quick and nice and easy. I'm going to start with the yellow, so yellow goes onto the 8-ball spot. Cue ball anywhere I want behind the line. I quite like for this one about a hand's width in from the cushion, but some people might want to come right across, and it's all personal preference. This is just the way I like it. And then we just try and cue it in. So important that we alternate though, reds and yellows, just so we don't get into, you know, a rhythm of one side and then the next. It's just harder to break it up a little bit. And then we just keep going until we've had 15 attempts. Disappointing to miss that one by so far, but I'm just going to roll that one out the way, ignore the fact I've missed and get on with the next ball. Actually missed that one by quite a distance as well, which is a bit of a worry, but let's ignore it. Okay, miss one from each side now. We just keep going. Just make sure it doesn't get in the way. Okay, last yellow. Okay, so all the colours are gone. Now I get personal preference which side I want to put the 8 ball in, and I actually feel like I'm more comfortable putting the balls into the left hand pocket. I don't know why, although I have missed one from each side, so I'm going to go for the one I'm least comfortable with, which is the one to the bottom right hand corner. And please just cue that one in quite nicely. So another routine done, and again I've scored 13 out of 15 again because of the 2 balls I missed. So we put that score down and we go on to the next routine. Okay, let's move on to routine number 5 in this get cueing workout. Now this routine is all about potting from the cushions. So set the object ball, up pretty much as I have here. So yellow's on one side, red's on the other, fairly evenly spaced, 8 ball in the middle. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the yellows first, then we're going to put the reds, and then we're going to put the 8 ball. And so what we do is we take the outside one yellow, we're going to move it to halfway between the corner pocket and the center pocket. Cue ball goes where the yellow was, and we try and pot that first yellow. Once that first yellow's gone in, move the second yellow to the same position. Cue ball goes to where that yellow was on the line. So the cue ball's just getting wider each time. We keep repeating until all the yellows are gone. So this is one of those routines where the wider the cue ball goes, the harder the pot becomes. So last yellow, hardest one of course. Okay, really pleased actually to get all the yellows in. So now we turn our attention to the reds and we just completely repeat the exactly what we just done with the yellows, just the opposite way around. Okay, missed the first one, which isn't great, but let's just roll that one out of the way and we go for the second one. Missing the first one, which should be the easiest one in this routine, is a little frustrating, but we just have to ignore the misses. This is practice after all. That's better. cut that one a fraction thin. Move that one out of the way, and we do the last one. That's better. Now, same as the previous routine, with this one, we just get personal choice, and I actually find it more comfortable going by results to pop the yellows into that pocket than the reds into that one. I'm going to go for the one that I think is slightly harder for myself, so I'm going to go for the right hand side, but you can go whichever way you want on this one. And another routine finished. It's fairly consistent at missing a couple of balls. There's another routine where I scored 13 out of 15. Let's get that score in and go on with the next one. Okay, so let's get on with the next routine, and this one we're going back to the penalty shootout, but it's the penalty shootout but a little bit trickier. So what we're going to do, we're going to place the object ball on the 8 ball spot once again. This time though, the twist being the cue ball has to come onto the break line, but right in the center of that table, so making the pot left hand or right hand much trickier. Once again though, we are going to play the yellow balls into the bottom right hand corner, the red balls come into the bottom left hand corner, and the 8 ball personal preference. So I'm going to start with the yellow balls, so yellow to bottom right. Now, this routine is much trickier than the previous penalty shootout routine, so don't be worried or alarmed if the scores are a little bit lower. This is just about keeping track of your own scores and seeing if you can improve on them going forward. So let's not worry if we miss too many. Okay, missed the first red. Let's just get that one out of the way. Right, see if I can get up and running on the reds here. That's better. Struggling with the red side for some reason. That one missed by quite a distance, but it is a tough routine, so I'm not getting too worried. I'm just playing the way through it. Can't really find the potting angle for the reds. I'm struggling with that one. But this is a much tougher routine. Better. Okay, last yellow. Nice to get a clean sweep on the yellows. Yeah, pleased with that. Okay, so I've got the 8 ball, and as always, it's going to be personal preference. Now, as I've done in previous routines, I'm going to go for the one that I'm struggling with the most. I'm going to try and play it into the bottom left-hand corner. Okay. I missed a few reds on that routine. I'm not too disappointed though. I think 12 out of 15 with this routine. It is a tough routine, isn't that bad, and I'm a little bit rusty as well. So I'm going to put that score in, so 12 out of my 15, and move on with the next routine. Okay, so let's move on to our next routine, and this is the transition routine, a very challenging little routine, much harder than it actually looks. What we have here, yellow on the 8 ball spot, 8 ball right into the centre of the table, and red on what would be an 8 ball spot if the table was reversed. We're mirroring the bottom half of the table. Doesn't have to be 100% correct, but give or take, as long as it's roughly in the right position. And what we have to do, we have to pop the yellow anywhere we want, but have to pop the yellow. We transition the cue ball past this imaginary centre line that runs through the centre pocket and the 8 ball into the other half of the table, playing position on the red. Once we've done that, we get another yellow up and put another yellow on the table, and then we repeat, but the other way around. So we pop the red and we transition the cue ball into the bottom half of the table, playing position on the yellow in the bottom half, and then we replace the red. Now we keep going until all 7 yellows and all 7 reds are potted, and then we can pop the 8 ball anywhere we like. The difference with this routine compared to previous routines within this workout is if you miss in the previous routines, you just keep going. You have 15 attempts, and it's how many out of 15 you get. With this one, if you miss or you fail to get that cue ball past that centre line at any point throughout the whole routine, the routine stops. So it's very, very challenging, and I think this is one of those routines, if you get anywhere near 15, you're doing very, very well indeed. It's a routine I find very, very difficult because it's so, you can get out of hand with the cue ball control very, very quickly. Anyway, so let's see how we managed to get on this time. Potted the first one, so I'm up and running on the board. Okay, things are starting to get tricky. Okay, that's not bad. That 8 ball was a big, big ball then. So I'm up to 5. I feel like every time I do this routine, it's the same. I feel like I'm hanging on. I just can't. You just lose track of the cue ball. But I'm actually pleased that I'm back in somewhat of a decent position here. And that's what are we up to? 6. Finally get myself back in good position, and I overhit the next shot quite significantly, so starting to be in trouble once again. I really do believe this replicates frames of pool because I'm only moving the cue ball a fraction, or from one half of the table to the other, but it's amazing how much you can go out of position. All right, see if I can recover. Okay, I'm up to 8, and this is tricky. I'm now in a real bother. Okay, up to 9, but it's getting harder and harder. This is the hardest shot of them all. Probably going in off anyway, but even though I potted the ball, I have run out of position because I haven't gone past that centre line, so routine stops there. I think that was 9. I lost track a little bit of the score, but this routine is so hard. It really is, and as I said earlier, it replicates frames of ball. It's amazing how often you've got a clearance in one half of the table and you've got another ball on the other end of the table, and it's when you go for that one at the other half of the table, you end up leaving the cue ball short or you go long, and that's amazing how often that can become, you know, your pattern and your finish can become unstuck because of it. So I love this routine, but I also hate it because it's so tricky. But I'm actually not that disappointed if I've scored 9. Anyway, put 9 down on the score on the app. Move on to the next routine. The next routine in this get cueing workout is the lineup routine. So lining up the balls, reds, yellows, all the way up the table, 8 ball at the top of the table. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with the yellows. We're going to pot the yellows going down the table, and then we're going to pot the reds coming up the table. So we take them in order, this yellow and so on, and then the reds back up there. Balls can go into any pocket. What you can't do is you can't cannon or hit any other ball on the routine on the way through the routine. So you need to keep the cue ball under pretty close control as you go through it. So let's see how I get on. Oh, and I should say this is very similar to the previous routine, that if I do miss a pot or I cannon any other ball within this routine, then the routine stops at that point. So however many balls I potted at that point is my score, rather than if I miss, I continue. Okay, so yellows are out the way. Turn the attention to the reds coming up the table now towards the 8 ball. Decelerated on that one. I'm still hanging in. Does help on the reds that the yellows are out the way. Makes a big difference. Okay, just the 8 ball to go. Okay, so a little frustrating. I got a little bit lost there once I turned my attentions to the reds, and it just shows how you can go out of position by one shot and then you're having to play a recovery shot, get back into position. I do love this little routine. It does replicate some of the soft close cue ball control you need in frames of pool, but really pleased to actually manage to get over the line and complete a routine. So I'm chuffed to bits with that. Means I get to put 15, a score of 15 down on the app, and let's move on to the next routine. Okay, let's move on to our next routine, a lovely little routine, this one, and it's the cross routine. What we have to do, we've got to pop the yellows at the bottom of the table first, then the reds, then the yellows at the top of the table, then the 8 ball. But the yellows at the bottom of the table have to go into the bottom of the table corner pockets. The reds in the middle of the table have to go into the top corner pockets, and the yellows at the top into the top corner pockets, and the 8 ball into the top corner pockets. So all these to the top, those 4 to the bottom. You can take them in any order amongst themselves. So these 4 yellows can be going in any order, and these reds can go in any order, and then these yellows. If you miss or you can another ball at any point, then the routine stops at that point, and whatever you have potted, you have scored at that point, that is your score. But obviously the ultimate goal is to get to 15 and complete the routine. So let's see how I get on. Pleased with that one. That routine, it's amazing how quickly it can get out of hand. You can end up slightly awkward. These 7 in the middle, they're the key really, is getting on the wing one as early as possible. If you get on that wing one early on this side, then you can come across and get onto that one quickly, and then it's a little bit easier from there. So I was pleased because I managed to get on this wing one first, and it just made the rest of it fairly easy from there. So pleased with that one. Another 15 points scored, so another routine completed. Pleased with that. Let's move on, next routine. Okay, so we come to our final routine of the Get Cueing workout, and it's the grid routine. This is a great routine for really working on your cue ball control and picking really good patterns actually. If you pick a good pattern here, then you can make this look really, really simple, because it's just going to be a lot of soft stuns and roll throughs and screw shots. Really, you can make it look simple it doesn't always end up that way. So sometimes it's going to get out of hand. So it's all about picking that good route. Simple little layout though, a grid pattern. So five rows of 3 in a nice grid, nicely spaced out and even across the table. We can pop the balls in any order we like. So the challenge is to clear the table, any order we like. You cannot hit a cushion. That's the key rule to remember here. You cannot hit the cushion at all. You also cannot hit another ball. So any cannon, any hit of the cushion and the routine stops. Any missed pot, the routine stops. Whatever your score is at the point of you breaking down, that will be your score. But hopefully the ultimate goal is to pot all 15. Let's see if I can do that and give it a go. Well, I completed it. I've got to be honest. I got a little bit lost there, if I'm honest with you. I lost my sort of control and pattern, and actually I was always just a little bit awkward actually back end of that finish. So hampered cueing on one at the end there as well. So disappointed with my actual execution, even though I completed the routine. I know I can do better. I can make it look easier. I can do a better job on it. But importantly, I can just put down 15 points for my score. So let me put down 15 and then we'll see what my overall total is. Well, there you go. I've managed to complete the workout and I scored 89%. I'm actually pretty pleased with 89%. I don't play a huge amount of pool as much as I used to anyway. So certainly at the beginning of that workout, I felt a little bit rusty. I felt like I wasn't quite cueing as straight as I really wanted to be. Missed a few pots, certainly in the early potting ones, the penalty shootout in particular, disappointed to miss a couple in there. The one routine that really gets me every single time is that transition routine. I tend to lose control of the cue ball a little bit too easily when I'm transitioning from one end of the table to the other. So that one got away from me, and actually I'm not that disappointed to score 9. But overall, I'm happy with 89%. Obviously, I'd love to hear what you guys can do, what you're scoring, but the most important thing is the fact that my app will track that. So that 89% now is now stored in the app. Next time I do this routine, my challenge will be, or this workout I should say, my challenge will be to beat 89%. And in the individual routines, the ones that I've scored 100%, I want to keep going and get 100% again. The ones I haven't, I want to go on and try and better the percentage. So transition routine, for example, I scored 9. Next time I want to get above 9. And I love that, the fact that we keep a record of everything and you get to challenge yourself. It's about seeing your own improvements throughout your practice. So go away, give this workout a go yourself. Let me know about it. Video it if you want to, send me your results, let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear from you all, and I'll catch you next video.